Hello and welcome to Roaming Norway. Today I am roaming Norway, as you can see, and we have some news on the new Model Y that I'm going to present to you. I have read up on the new Model Y announcement. I have asked my sources about their opinions and different things that might be hidden from the main announcement page that we have seen. I'm also going to talk about which regions that have the Model Y, the new Model Y first, what the differences are, of course. Are we talking about better range? Is it a larger battery, better efficiency? What's going on here? And the new design. We are going to talk a lot about the new design because that's the main change over the old Model Y. And we of course have to talk about new suspension, finally getting a comfortable suspension in the Model Y, which a lot of people have been missing. So let's tune in and talk about new Model Y announcement. And I want to start by going through a list of changes and talk a little bit about them. And then I'll just deviate from the list to discuss the most interesting points so that you can get my insight into what the new Model Y is, because that's what's unique with this channel. Of course, you can watch a lot of other people's videos on the Juniper or the new Model Y. A lot of those are just thrown out there. This one is a little bit more well thought out. At least I have a lot of information. Aside from that, another quality video that I would like to recommend if you're interested in the new Model Y is the Autospec podcast, where Isaiah, Jordan and Dave actually talk a lot about the new Model Y, and three people is always nice to get some insight into their opinions, especially when talking about design, since it's so subjective. Anyways, let's move on to the video. I also want to say that are we considering getting this new Model Y? Well, watch to the end of the video and I'll share my direct impressions of everything that we talked about today, and if we should get this Model Y in our household, if it fits our lifestyle or our size of car. And there are some super nice things that only the Model Y can do that the Model 3 can't do. So I will come with those insights in the end of this video. We are talking about a minor range increase. So we are talking about, now I'm comparing the long range all-wheel drive, the old to the new. So 533 kilometers was the old VLTP range of the Model Y all-wheel drive long range. Now it's 551 kilometers. And there are a lot of rumors around if the battery is larger. I'm not really sure if the batteries are larger. I think it's just in efficiency improvements, so new tires and new aerodynamics that make this a tiny bit more efficient and therefore a tiny bit more range. I'm actually quite disappointed that we didn't get any major range increase, it seems. So I'm comparing VLTP numbers. The ones you see in China are of course TP numbers or something like that. They use a different standard than in Europe. You can't compare that. That says over 700 kilometers of range, which just doesn't make sense at all. The top speed has been reduced from 217 kilometers per hour to 201 kilometers per hour. The same happened with the Model 3. This is most likely due to new efficiency tires, which I actually think sucks. I want performance tires on like a 400-500 horsepower car. I don't want efficiency tires, but it does give you more range. So that's also part of the efficiency improvement of this car, and exactly the same that happened to the Model 3. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour is actually the same. A lot of people say it's faster. That's just because Tesla has now for the first time ever announced something called Launch Edition, which is the first edition of a car that they spec out with everything, make a little bit more expensive to like try to recuperate some of the development cost early on in the Model Y, of course. Every other automaker does this already, Volkswagen with the first editions, and everyone has like a fully packed launch edition, and this is that. And it comes with acceleration boosts. An acceleration boost is a software upgrade that makes the car go from 5 seconds 0 to 100 kilometers per hour to 4.3 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. So it comes with the acceleration boost, this launch edition. And this launch edition has a lot of other updates that I'm going to talk about, but they are mainly for the style and the branding, not anything else than this acceleration boost for actual physical performance. It doesn't have better range, it doesn't even have different wheels, it's just badging and branding. So it's available right now for order in China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, New Zealand and Australia. So I think Taiwan gets their cars from the US, so they have a delayed delivery date. But all the other countries get their car, like Hong Kong, Australia and New Zealand get theirs, and China of course get their cars from Giga Shanghai. So this is mainly a Giga Shanghai announcement. So we haven't seen the European announcement yet, but my guess is that it's just a few days, maybe weeks, maybe months away, but it's very, very close. That's all I am sure of. And yeah, so this is a Giga Shanghai announcement. So this car has its first production at Giga Shanghai in China. Let's talk about the new design. So it has a front light bar, and this is just for style. The headlights are actually under the light bar. These are the real headlights. The real headlights are what was the fog lights before. If you had fog lights on your Model Y, those were placed in the general same area. You can see now it's moved up, but it's still under the light bar. These are your normal headlights and high beams and matrix LED headlights. So these are moved up from the location that the fog lights had, and they are changed to high beams and normal driving lights. And the LED bar in the top is just for style or daytime running lights, or whatever you want to call it. So the new design is a little bit sleeker, I would say. It has that Chinese design type, but at the same time Tesla has kind of developed their own like cyber LED bar design language with the Cybercab and the Cybertruck that the Tesla Model Y now adopts. So a lot of people don't really like the split headlights situation which we have now with running lights and the main headlights with like a chunk between them, so they are split. This is kind of like a Chinese design philosophy that we have seen on a lot of Chinese cars. Like if you go look at the Xiaopeng or Xpeng cars, you can see this design language. We also know that the Model 3 was actually designed in California, but with help from the Chinese engineers, which made a lot of design influence on the car for the Chinese market, like the rear screen, like the very sleek Chinese design of the car. So I am personally a fan, I like it, but a lot of people don't like it, which I do understand. So leave a comment down below, what do you think about the design? Let's move on. New paint color. I have always said that Tesla needs a new paint color. They need a new blue color. They have had a ton of reds. They have had, of course, the Quicksilver and yeah, the Midnight Cherry, which is a type of red. And I've always said you need to move you need to move on from the deep blue metallic color to something else, because deep blue metallic, while it's a nice color, it's a primary color. It's just blue. So I like a little bit difference in color from the primary colors personally. So it's the new Glacier Blue paint, which is great. I love it. I like it. I personally would wish for some deeper, more saturated colors, like a teal color would fit Tesla perfectly, like the Audi Galaxy Blue color, which is my favorite car color of all time. I was hoping for something like that, but you know what? It's fine. It's totally fine with just a Glacier Blue color. I just wanted to see another blue color, so it's nice to see. There is a new 19-inch and new 20-inch wheels. The 19-inch are of course with the aero covers, just like the Gemini wheels before, which I thought was one of the worst wheel designs from Tesla, so it's nice that it's updated. The new aero wheels looks better, and the new 20-inch spiral wheels looks so much better than the induction wheels on the old Model Y, and better than the Uber turbines even. I'm not a Uber turbine fan. I don't like the Uber turbines, so I like more classic wheel designs, and this one is absolutely beautiful. It's stunning and it looks great with the Glacier. It's a silver rim. A lot of people like dark gray rims now. That's what's in the design world. I like the silver ones with the Glacier paint at least. New rear bumper, which is actually pushed outwards quite a bit. I think it is to reduce the cost when crashing the car, or the car gets rear-ended. It looks like a larger bumper. It's kind of ugly from the side actually, in my opinion, but if it helps repair cost, if you are rear-ended, I'm all for it, because that's super expensive when you dent, especially with the hatch in the Model Y, which is aluminum. It's expensive because usually you can't do paintless dent repair. I've actually done paintless dent repair on the Model Y rear hatch. It's fine, but if you get a larger dent, it's not possible, and you need to replace the entire hatch. Yeah, sportier front and rear bumpers, like the Model 3 Performance. They actually look quite similar, which is interesting that they did this with the Model Y. But I think the Model Y needs all the help it can get to not look like an egg. It's so egg-shaped. It needs the sleek design cues to actually help the car get out of this egg shape. So I think it's nice that they adopted from the Model 3 Performance instead of just the Model 3 Standard or the Model 3 Long Range. You know, I have the Model 3 rear-wheel drive and it's kind of empty in the front there. So that's very interesting that they adopted the Model 3 Performance design cues at least a little bit. And it also makes sense for the new headlights to have the slots in the front. So it looks quite sporty. It looks better than the old Model Y in my opinion, because the old Model Y was just a blown up Model 3. Now they probably share less parts than before, so maybe it's a little bit more expensive to produce. What do you think? Anyways, rear license plate is moved down to the bumper, and it looks kind of empty in the rear. I wonder if a lot of people will look at this and think it's kind of ugly, and that they moved the license plate up to the hatch where it was before. But I need to see it in the real life to make a decision on this. But it's kind of strange that they moved it all the way down. So now the rear trunk is completely empty. There's nothing there. There's just a dual motor badge if you have the dual motor, and in China you have the Model Y badge that we don't get in the rest of the world. It's something in China you usually want the model designation on the car, but Tesla doesn't usually do this. Yeah. Anyways, in the rear we also have a light bar, and it's an indirect light bar, so it lights up the car, not directly behind it. So it lights up the Tesla text, which is also new, and this design is I think it's super nice. I actually love the indirect bar, and we will see once the winter comes and what happens with this. And I will of course test this car on this channel as soon as it arrives in Norway, and I think we are not that far away actually. I think it's very close to European release. We have seen these new Model Ys covered driving around in Europe. I think Giga Berlin has at least started production, early production of this car to get it ready for European release. Dark or light interior trim with a base trim for the rear-wheel drive, and for long range you have the more premium interior. Yeah, sound system. The sound system in the Model Y has been amazing. I have driven the Model Y rear-wheel drive, the Model Y long range, the Model Y with the BYD Blade battery. I've driven so many Model Ys so many of the same type even. And everyone in Europe, every Model Y has the premium sound system. And the premium sound system in the Model Y has been amazing for the price. It's not a Meridian or a Burmeister system. It's not up there with the million Norwegian kroner car, 100k US dollars cars or 100k euro cars, but it's amazing for the price. And when Tesla says that it has a celestial sound that's even better than before, it's actually a reduced amount of speakers over the Model 3 premium sound system, from 19 speakers to 18 speakers, to 16 speakers, 3 less speakers, but in my opinion, I think it'll be better. I think the sound system will be better. They are really talking about the sound system, and I can't wait to test it. The sound system in the Model Y has always been incredible, and in the Model 3 it's also amazing, especially the new one in the long range. Mine in the rear wheel drive is a little bit lacking, I would say, but it's still better than everything else at the price. So I'm super hyped to test the sound system in the new Model Y. The steering wheel is from the Model 3. So it has the same steering wheel with the buttons for the blinkers, no gear selector. But what a lot of people have noticed that's super interesting is that it has a blinker stalk or indicator stalk. We have seen this for not the Chinese market, but for the left driving countries like Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong. We have seen this stalk, and in my opinion I think they will bring this to Europe due to roundabouts. So once we see production at Giga Berlin, my prediction is that we will see this indicator stalk. And they say, Tesla said directly that we have taken customer feedback and we have now an indicator stalk in the Model Y, which they haven't installed in any new design for quite a while now. The Cybertruck doesn't have it, the new Model S doesn't have it, the new Model X doesn't have it, the new Model 3 doesn't have it, and now the Model Y has an indicator stalk in select markets. My prediction is none for the North American market. My prediction is yes for the European market, at least the UK, but I think the rest of Europe as well. So for me, this is a very nice addition. I've always said that in roundabouts, the stalkless design sucks. It's not good enough. You can't blink properly without actually taking your concentration away from the road. No, you can't just hold the button, because then you hold the steering wheel in a very awkward and wrong position. I like the blinkers on the highway and stuff like that, that's fine, but I can't wait to see what Tesla does with the new Model Y design. And Hans Auto makes actually have developed new stalks, so I'm curious about their input on them. I guess that the new Enhance Auto, that's third-party stalks, are more customizable, and of course you can retrofit it to other Teslas, which is great. So I'm curious to see how this indicator stalk works in the Tesla Model Y, and if it's even customizable. I read somewhere that it might be customizable, which is the first time any automaker has shipped a car with a customizable stalk. So we will see. Let's move on. And yeah, it's a single stalk, not for the gear selector, it's just for the blinkers and just in select markets. Let's move on. So it has a new 15.4-inch front touchscreen with small bezels. It's the same size as a Model 3, I think. It looks nicer, it's crisper, it's a significant upgrade over the old Model Y. You can see that the laminated layer above the screen itself is quite thick on the new Model Y when you compare it to the new Model 3. So you can see that the lamination layer is thinner, it looks more modern, crisper, nicer, and larger, smaller bezels. It looks more modern, but aside from that, it works in exactly the same way as the old screen, of course. But it's nice to see that we get this in the new Model Y, and of course I guessed so because we got it in the new Model 3. A lot of the changes are the same. Before moving on to the ventilated seats and the rear seats, which are different, I want to mention the new suspension. Finally, we get the new suspension in the Model Y. And it's great to finally see new suspension in the Model Y. The Model Y needed a new suspension. it really needed a new suspension. It's not comfortable for an SUV in the class it is. It's actually lacking compared to competitors. If you upgrade from a Toyota or other Japanese car with, that's not a Lexus, like a basic Japanese car, a lot of people go into the Model Y and they think, oh, it's so luxurious and nice, and then you compare it to the German cars and it sucks, even with the new comfort suspension. So it's super, super nice to see the new suspension in the Model Y, and I think that's the largest upgrade. The sound isolation and the suspension upgrades of the Model 3 and the Model Y, it'll fit the car perfectly well. I can already say that, if they don't mess up everything, of course, which you will see in my review if you subscribe to this channel. But yeah, it will be super interesting to see. Okay. Let's move on from the suspension. Of course, is there anything else to talk about with the suspension? The suspension of the Model 3 makes the Model 3 an entirely different car. You know that I've driven the old Model 3, the new Model 3, which is my daily driver today. I've driven the old Model Y. I can compare everything. And I must say that the new Model 3 suspension upgrade was amazing. And if it's similar or better, I think it's better. It will be an amazing upgrade for a car like this. An SUV needs to have some kind of comfort. It doesn't need to be super stiff and sporty. It will probably be less sporty. And on that note, we haven't seen a new performance Model Y announced yet in any market. Yeah, and we of course have ventilated seats in the front, like the new Model 3, which is a nice upgrade, and you get that on every trim level. It's no packages or stupid things like that. Every trim level has ventilated seats. There are some people talking about the rear seats being ventilated and electronically movable. And this is a very China design thing, where you upgrade the rear interior for rear passengers, actually. And you have a screen in the rear, like the old Model 3, and yeah, that's nice for rear passengers. Again, optimizing for rear passengers. And on the bottom of this list, I have enhanced connectivity. So I think it'll have a 5G modem or 5G connectivity, and better Wi-Fi connectivity and better antennas in general. So you will have the map, it won't drop out and it won't cause any issues for you when driving across borders in, for example, if you're driving through Europe, it always connects and reconnects. I think this improved connectivity will help with that situation a lot. That's just a prediction, but what Tesla has said is that it has improved connectivity. Some new things that a lot of people maybe don't talk about is that the front trunk now has a drain plug, so you can fill it with ice and shrimp and have a shrimp party and then just drain the frunk, and all the ice will melt and run away. And there are also a lot of people talking about the power frunk. I haven't seen that yet. That might be actually part of the official announcement that it has a power frunk. A lot of people talk about that. Of course, but the drag coefficient, the turn signal is in the light bar itself, which looks very nice. The new interior is different from the Model 3 upgraded interior. It has a little bit more intricate luxury design on the door panels, in my opinion. It has more materials, more different materials. The seats are a little bit more bolstered, but they look similar to the Model 3 seats. And there is, on the launch edition, you have black suede on the front bar, which is kind of like a design piece in Teslas. You of course have the ambient lighting from the new Model 3, so quite a lot of differences there. I need to mention on the exterior, we now have a front camera, and the front camera will help with parking, fully self-driving, which you have in North America and China at the moment. It will help with just general parking, and if you go off-roading with the Model Y, it'll help. So it's nice to finally see a front bumper camera. So it's front and at the bottom, at the bumper, in the front. Finally, there were a lot of rumors that the new Model 3 would have this, but we just didn't ever get it. So now it's on the new Model Y instead. Which is a nice upgrade. You can't complain about an added camera on the Tesla. The black Model Y is not available in all markets. The rear headlights, which are of course the braking lights and stuff like that, are a little bit tinted, so they are a little bit darker than a Model 3 from the factory. That's often a style choice that many people make by tinting their headlights, which is illegal, but and it actually looks kind of trashy when you do it yourself, in my opinion. But when Tesla does it, they can do it in a very subtle way, and from the pictures I have seen, it looks great. Okay, and last, before I share my opinion on the Model Y directly, I want to talk about what you get included with this launch edition. And the launch edition is of course, the first edition of this new Model Y, available in all the markets that I talked about before. So you have a rear liftgate badge. So you have a small badge in the rear. You have a puddle light, which is the light that comes up when you open the door, which has this launch logo, which Tesla has created. You have branding around the car, the black suede on the bar in the front. They should have black suede headliner as well, in my opinion. They don't. They have the same old gray headliner, which in my opinion kind of sucks. And all-wheel drive comes with acceleration boost. So you can get the launch edition in the rear-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive long range. The rear-wheel drive has the same old battery as we have seen before, the LFP battery. Anyways, you can get the launch edition in both, and it seems like it's just acceleration boost that's worth getting here. All the other updates seem to be kind of like branding, launch edition, and I'm personally not a really big fan of that, but maybe in the markets it's announced in a lot of people care about having the launch edition. So let's talk a little bit about my opinion and batteries, because I care about batteries. And you know, I've talked about the BYD Blade Model Y. The BYD Blade, we don't know if the BYD Blade battery will come in the new Model Y rear-wheel drive. What we do know is that VLTP estimates seems to suggest to me that the batteries are either exactly the same as before or a little bit larger. And for the long range, we have this NCM battery or NMC battery, nickel, cobalt, manganese battery. This one seems to be the same LG battery. Maybe a little bit bigger, maybe the same size, I'm not sure, but it's so similar in size to the old one, because I'm looking at the range and I see just a tiny increase in range. So in my opinion, they are the same battery. I think we will get the LG battery in the long range, which is not that great, to be honest. It's fine, but it's not amazing. It has kind of slow charging performance for being an NCM battery. And the rear-wheel drive, I think we might be getting the new Cattle battery, which will charge much better than the old Cattle battery. If we get the old Cattle battery, which I have in my Model 3 now, in the new Model Y, it will absolutely suck. I hope Tesla actually discontinues that battery and focuses on new LFP battery. LFP technology has been just shooting to the stars. It's so different, and I can see that change myself, because I have a Model Y with a generation 2 LFP battery, the BYD Blade. I have my Model 3 with the first generation Model 3 battery, and I can compare them side by side, and they are so different. The second generation BYD Blade battery in the Model Y charges so much faster. It doesn't need that much preconditioning, and it has a much flatter charging curve. It's an amazing battery, and I hope to see the BYD Blade battery in this Model Y, because then, if the price is the same, like it seems to be around the same price, especially after the launch edition. Launch edition is of course a little bit extra. Everyone wants the launch edition. I think this will be a killer deal, and I think Tesla might be the best seller in the world once again, even though most people buy the all-wheel drive. I always vouch for the rear-wheel drive with the BYD Blade battery. Okay, now let's move on to my situation. I have a Model 3. My fiance has a BMW i3, and we have been looking at an SUV for quite a while because we have a dog. We want a cage for our dog for a long trip, because you know that the only way to crash safety your pets is to have a proper crash safety rated cage in or kennel or yeah, whatever you want to call it, in the car. Of course, you can keep him in the back seats of the Model 3, but we have been looking at an SUV to add to our household. We didn't want to buy an expensive Model Y because, of course, yeah, they are quite expensive cars still, even though they are cheaper in Norway than any other country in the world. I don't like to throw money away, so I bought the cheapest Model 3. So we have to see what happens with our next car purchase. I love the BMW i3, but now we have two rear-wheel drive cars. Maybe we want to have an all-wheel drive car. Maybe we will buy a new Model Y. I've talked with my fiance, and she doesn't like that the car doesn't have indicator stalks. Aside from that, she actually likes the new Model 3 now. She didn't really like it in the beginning, and have been talking about a new Model Y. So I think a new Model Y would help this channel out quite a bit, because I can talk about my actual winter driving experiences with the car. And I think it's important to get something different than the Model 3. The Model 3 is an LFP car, so I have that covered. And we have the BYD blade in the old Model Y. At the same time, I don't think I personally need all-wheel drive, and I quite like the BYD blade battery. So it's a difficult situation for me. What do you think? Leave a comment down below. If you decide to order a Tesla in these markets, please consider using tesla.roamingnorway.com. You get a discount on the car, I get a referral kickback, and it helps out this channel a lot more than you think. Tesla.roamingnorway.com, please consider using that. I really appreciate that you watched this video, even though there are a ton more structured videos out there on the Model Y Juniper. I hope I at least gave you some information and some insights into the new Model Y. Just let's summarize quickly. I'm disappointed about the range increase. I thought we would get larger batteries, and I think we will get larger batteries at some point. I like the new design personally. I like the new glacier blue color. I like all the improvements that we get from the Model 3. I have driven the Model 3 Highline for thousands of kilometers, so I have a lot of experience with actually driving this a similar car, at least suspension-wise. I can't wait to test the sound system. I can't wait to test the suspension. Those are two main things that I think are nice. I'm disappointed again about the charging rate only being 250 kilowatts, which also suggests using the older batteries. It has a 400 volt architecture, which I think is outdated from Tesla, and it doesn't seem to have steer-by-wire. Aside from that, some pros, some cons. I think there are more pros because it's a similarly priced car to the most selling car in the world, which is the Model Y, with upgrades, objective upgrades in some areas at least. So I don't think there is any reason to crisis maximize this car, even though it doesn't have better batteries or range or charging, because last year it was the best selling car in the world without these upgrades. So anyways, thank you so much for watching another Roaming Norway YouTube video, and we will talk again very soon in a new video.